for this video, we are going to talk about the zeros of quadratic function. To explain that simply, if you are familiar with x-intercepts, nung nag-graph tayo ng quadratic functions, they are just the same. No? Zeros of quadratic function and x-intercepts of quadratic functions graph, they are just actually the same. So, in this example, no, I have here a sample graph. And then kung graph yung given, you can easily identify what are the zeros of the quadratic function eh. Kasi these are the x-intercepts of the graph. And when we say the x-intercepts of the graph, these are the points that crosses the x-axis, di ba? Kung napapansin nyo, at some point of the parabola, nag-stop siya. Merong mga points na nag-cross or na-plot exactly sa x-axis, di ba? These are -2 and 0 na point, and then 4, 0. So, we can actually get the zeros without doing anything, just observing, no? So, yung zeros of this quadratic function, given na yung graph niya, are -2 and 4. So, yun yung zeros. So, no, these are the points that crosses the x-axis. So, yung zeros here of the quadratic function, they are -2 and 4. Kasi -2, 0, 4, 0, they are the x-intercepts of the graph. And as I was saying a while ago, zeros and x-intercept, they are just the same. Okay? So now that you know how to get the zeros, given na yung quadratic function mo ay nakagraph na or graph yung given, paano naman kung yung mismong quadratic function yung given, hindi graph yung given? How would you able to solve for its zeros? Okay? So kung graph yung given, madali lang kunin yung zeros eh kasi titingnan mo lang yung points na nag-cross dun sa x-axis. Paano kung walang graph? Paano kung function yung given? Like this example, let's say. Let's say I have the function y is equal to -4x squared plus 64. So, walang graph na given. Yung function mismo yung given. How would be able to solve for its zeros? Okay? So, if that is the case, kung natatandaan nyo, yung ginawa natin nung first quarter, sinolve natin yung quadratic roots ng quadratic equation, there are 4 methods that we use, di ba? The first one is extracting the roots, no? By extracting the roots. The second one is by factoring. The third one is by completing the square. And then the fourth one is by using the quadratic formula. So, kung naaalala nyo pa yun, we are going to apply those 4 methods to solve for the zeros of quadratic function. So, basically, para lang ulit tayong magsusolve ng quadratic roots kasi we will apply those 4 methods. Okay? So, the first thing that you need to do is i-analyze niyo yung given na quadratic function. Ano ba yung method na kailangan kong gamitin para mas mapabilis ko tong isolve? So, as I was saying, nung first quarter, no, yung tatlong first na method, yung extracting the roots, completing the square, and factoring, medyo limited yung nasosolve nila na quadratic equation and function. No? Limited. Pero, yung quadratic formula, when you use the quadratic formula, lahat ng function or quadratic function, quadratic equation na given, kaya nang solven kasi formula yung given. Okay, you're just going to identify the values of A, B, and C. So, kung nalilito kayo kung ano yung method na gagamitin nyo, and ayaw nyo na mag-isip, let's say, I am going to advise na diretso na kayo sa quadratic formula. Pero, if master nyo yung apat, mas madadalian kayo. Kasi mas makakapili kayo kung saan kayo mas mapapabilis na mag-solve. Like in this example. So in this example, kaya natin siyang ma-solve by using the quadratic formula. and by extracting the roots. Okay, or pwede din, no, hindi siya pwede by completing the square, no, kasi wala tayong linear term. So, factoring, pwede by factoring, kaso kasi parang naturo ko sa factoring parang trinomials, no? So, stick tayo dun sa dalawa, by extracting the roots or by quadratic formula. Pag sinolve ko to ng quadratic formula, mahaba-habang solution ang mangyayari. Pero, when I know kung paano i-apply yung extracting the roots, yun yung gagamitin ko kasi mas mabilis yun. Pero it's up to you actually kasi same answer lang na may makuha nyo. So let's say, I'm going to use extracting the roots here to solve for the zeros. So first po na kailangan gawin, i-equate natin yung function sa zero. Okay, para mawala yung isang variable which is y. And then right after that, ang gagamitin ko na method ay by extracting the roots. Yan. So, yan. That's the method that we will be using. So, for me to extract the roots, of course, kailangan yung sa other side ng equation, nag-equation na siya, no? Merong value doon. So, I'm going to transpose negative 4x squared on the left side of the equation. So, it will become positive. No? And then, para ma-cancel out natin yung square, I'm going to write a square root para maalis yung square na exponent ni variable x. So, to simplify this will be square root of 4 is 2. Square root ni x squared, that will be equal to x na lang, no? Square root ni 64, that is equal to 2 answer. So, positive negative 8. Okay? And then, to get rid of 2 beside x, divide natin both by 2. So, cancel. And then, x is equal to, so paghiwalay natin yung sign. So, the other one is positive, no? 8 over 2, and then the other one is a negative. So, negative 8 over 2 yung isa. And then, isimplify natin. So, 8 over 2, that is equal to 4. And negative 8 over 2, that is equal to negative 4. So, these are now the zeros of the quadratic function. So, dalawa yung answer. So, the zeros are 4 and negative 4. So, yun yung zeros ng quadratic function. If you graph this quadratic function, you will see the zeros across the x-axis. So, kung gagawin mo ordered pair, that is 4, 0, and negative 4, 0. Dun sila sa pwesto na yun sa Cartesian plane nyo makikita. Okay? How about another example? Next one, let's say we have this function. So, x squared plus 4x plus 3. And then we need to look for its zeros. No? Again, equate natin muna sa 0. And then, we can use factoring, completing the square or quadratic formula to solve the zeros of this quadratic function. Kung mamimili tayo doon sa tatlo na pwede dito, hindi pwede yung extracting the roots kasi may linear term. Okay? So, doon lang tayo mamili sa tatlo. Kung mapa-factor natin siya ng mas mabilis, or factorable tong trinomial, mabilis natin siya masosolve, di ba? Kung general trinomial to, no? Mapa-factor natin siya agad. Sa completing the square, medyo mahaba din yung solution. Lalo na sa quadratic formula. So, try muna natin by using factoring. Kung masosolve natin siya agad. No? So, let's factor this trinomial. So, isip tayo ng factors ni 3 na kapag minultiply mo, positive 3 yung sagot. Pag inadd mo, positive 4 yung sagot. So, meron ba? Yes, meron. That is equal to positive 3 and positive 1. So, paano nakuha yun? So, positive 3 times positive 1, that is equal to positive 3. Diba? Yun yung product. Kapag naman inadd natin si positive 3 kay positive 1, ang answer ay positive 4. So, therefore, we can factor the trinomial out easily. No? Right after natin siya ma-factor, i-equate natin both individually by 0 para ma-solve natin yung values ng x. And then, transpose lang natin. This is equal to negative 3. This is equal to negative 1. No? So, that is now the zeros. So, the zeros are negative 3 and negative 1. So, sa Cartesian plane, even without graphing the quadratic function, you know na dadaan siya sa negative 3, negative 1 na position doon sa x-axis or sa ordered pair na negative 3, 0 and negative 1, 0. How about, let's solve another example. So let's say this is example number 3 and the function given is 2x squared minus 6x plus 1. So ito, kung titingnan natin, medyo mahirap na siyang i-factor or ma-solve using factoring kasi may coefficient na yung quadratic term mo. So, mamili na lang tayo by completing the square or by using quadratic formula. In this case, mas comfortable gamitin yung quadratic formula kasi medyo tricky yung rules dun sa completing the square. Actually, kahit ako hindi ko masyado ginagamit yung completing the square. If the given will be like this, diretso na ako sa quadratic formula. So, gamitin natin yung quadratic formula natin. So, first, equate muna natin yung function sa 0. And then, kunin natin yung values ni A, B, and C according dun sa quadratic function. So, yung A natin is 2, B natin is negative 6, C is equal to 1. And then, by using the quadratic formula, ito yung quadratic formula natin, di ba? So, we have negative B, positive, negative, square root of t squared minus 4ac over 2a. So, yan yung quadratic formula natin. Substitute natin yung values ni a, b, and c dun sa ating function. So, negative, value ng b natin is negative 6. So, lagyan ng parenthesis para hindi malito doon sa signs. Positive, negative, square root of b natin is negative 6. So, negative 6 squared minus 4. A natin is 2. C natin is 1. Okay? All over 2. Yung A natin is equal to 2. So, yan. Right after this, move ko lang siya. So, yan. Right after natin siya sinubstitute. So, pagpatuloy natin dito sa taas, simplify natin sila para lumiit, no? So, negative times negative 6, magiging na siyang positive. Okay, positive 6. And then, positive negative square root of negative 6 squared, that is equal to 36. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8 times 1, negative 8 or minus 8. Over 2 times 2, that is equal to 4. Okay? Then next 6, positive negative, square root of 36 minus 8, that is equal to 28, diba? Over 4. So now, as you can see, si 28 ay hindi siya perfect square. Okay? But then, we can still simplify square root of 28 by what? Iisip kayo ng factor ni 28 na perfect square. Okay? Ang mga perfect square na number ay 1. So, exclude na natin yung 1. 4, 9, 16. So, ano kaya dun yung factor ni 28 na pinakamalaki? So, among 4, 9, 16, 25, the highest factor of 28 is 4. No? So, i-factor natin sa 28, 4 times 7 is equal to 28. Diba? So, kinuha natin si 4 kasi 4 is a perfect square number. So, over 4. And then we have 6. Positive, negative, square root ni 4 is 2. So, may iwan si 7 sa loob ng square root over 4. Now, here, so, burahin ko lang to. So, ito na yung nakuha natin na answer, di ba? But then, as you can see, sa answer natin, we can still simplify. Kasi 6, 2, and 4, pwede pa natin siyang i-divide by a common factor. So, ang common factor ni 6, 2, and 4 is 2, di ba? So, 6 divided by 2, that is equal to 3. Positive, negative, 2 divided by 2, that is equal to 1. So, wag na isulat si 1. Okay? So, isulat na lang si square root of 7 over 4 divided by 2, that is equal to 2. And, ito na. Ito na siya. So, x is equal to, paghiwalayin lang yung positive and negative na sign, we have 3 plus square root of 7 over 2. Yun yung unang 0 natin. And, the second one, we have 3 minus square root of 7 over 2. Ayan. Kaya, dapat yung paggamit ng quadratic formula, last resort, kasi ang haba niyang gamitin. Okay, medyo mahaba yung magiging solution mo. So, the zeros are 3 plus square root of 7 over 2 and 3 minus square root of 7 over 2. How about kung baliktarin natin yung situation? So, kanina we solved the zeros of the quadratic function. So, yung nawawala yung zeros, di ba? Paano naman kung ang given ay zeros and yung quadratic function mo yung nawawala? So, paano tayo magde-derive ng quadratic function using the zeros of quadratic function? So, first po, you need to remember this format. So, this is the format in deriving quadratic function using the zeros of quadratic function. So, y is equal to x squared minus x plus c. So, yan. Dapat tandaan niyo yung format na yan kasi you're going to use that to derive a function using the zeros. So, yun. So, kanina, ang given natin is yung function, di ba? And kinuha natin yung zeros. Paano naman kung yung zeros yung given? Paano tayo makakapag-derive ng function using that? So, let's say, for example, I have 5 and -7 as the zeros of the quadratic function. Let's say, ito yung zeros ng quadratic function. Now, ano yung quadratic function na required? Okay? Or how do we derive a quadratic function using 5 and -7 as its zeros? So, first, you need to get the sum and product of the zeros. So, literally, you're just going to add and multiply them. So, 5 plus -7, that is equal to -2, diba? And then, your product is 5 times -7, that is equal to -35. And you need to remember na yung sum na makukuha nyo, that will be your linear term. And yung product na makukuha nyo, that will be your constant term. Okay? Now, let's derive a quadratic function using this. So, we have y is equal to x squared minus yung linear term mo ito. So, lagay mo lang yung na-solve mong sum dun sa linear term mo. Okay? So, we have minus, let's say, yung linear, yung coefficient ng linear term is -2. And then, yung variable mo, x. Okay? Plus, yung constant mo, -35. Okay? So, now, kapag sinolve natin yan, solve nyo lang yung sign para mawala yung parentheses. So, we have x squared, negative times -2, that will become positive 2x. Okay? And then, positive times -35, that is -35. So, this is now the quadratic function required. So, yan na yung quadratic function na na-derive mo. Okay, y is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 35. How about another example? So, let's say we have a fraction as your zeros. Let's say we have 1/2 and 1/3. Okay? So, first, of course, hanapin yung sum and product. So, para hindi na kayo mag-manual na solve, para din nyo na siya i-solve manually, pwede kayo gumamit ng calculators. So, 1/2 plus 1/3, that is actually equal to 5/6. Okay? And 5/6 is your linear term. Five over 6 is your linear term. And then yung product ni 1/2 and 1/3 is equal to 1/6. Okay? This will be your constant term. So, okay na tayo. Na-solve na natin yung sum and product. remove lang natin, delete. So let's derive the quadratic function. So using this format, now we have y is equal to x squared minus yung coefficient ng linear term mo is 5/6. Wala kang problem kasi positive si 5/6. So write mo lang siya kaagad. 5/6x plus 1/6. So wala ding problem kasi positive sila lahat. But then, take a look at this, no? Fraction yung coefficients ng linear term and yung constant term mo ay fraction din. So, tingin ka sa coefficient ng quadratic term mo. Kapag wala nakalagay na coefficient dyan, that will be equal to 1, diba? So, kailangan nating gawing fraction si 1. So, para magawa natin siyang fraction, tingin tayo sa denominator ng mga coefficients or constant term mo. Ang denominator nila ay 6. So, gawin natin yung 1 na 6/6. Okay? This 6/6, it is actually still equal to 1. Okay? And then, according to the rule, no, i-cancel out natin yung denominators natin right after gawin nating fraction yung coefficient ni quadratic term. So, therefore, kapag sinulat natin yung quadratic function na tong given number 2 natin, it will be 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. So that will be the quadratic function derived using the zeros. Okay, so that's it, no? That is how you get the zeros of quadratic function, and that is how you derive a function using the zeros of quadratic function.